Let's go. Right, can you all see that?
Yep.
Excelente. Right, if everyone can put themselves on mute, I will open us back up later on for questionnaires. Um, and I did put this little flashing recording sign top left to remind me to record, because otherwise there was a high chance I was going to forget. So what are we here to do? Cook up your own little recipe of the right amount of money, energy, time, and headspace. To be joyful, present, energized, happy with your life and your business. I talk a lot about time and money. I have historically. And I think since we moved house, we've moved to a village. I've slowed down a bit and I'm like, hang on, those are not the only two elements. So those are the ones I normally teach, but I've brought in a little bit of my take on energy and headspace as well. And I think for me, these are like the key elements that if you get the flow right between them, not balance necessarily, because I think balance is like perfection. It's one of those things that's impossible to achieve. But if you can get the right levels and you can understand the give and take, that's the key to it all. So who am I? I know Jenny and Carol, you know me, but Aaron, you are new to my world, so welcome. And anyone else watching later on the recording who doesn't know me. So I own a business. I've been running for 4 years. A lovely marketing agency that's expanded over the last year or so to include some other end-to-end marketers. That's what I like to call us. People that can turn our hand to anything. I also mentor other business owners. So this Masterclass today is a kind of flavor, I guess, of how that works, the sorts of things I work on with people. But it's mostly people who want to get more done in less time and frankly have more fun. I'm a marketing strategist by trade. I host a podcast, although it's on pause. Didn't expect it to be on pause for quite this long, but I promise it will come back. I have a lovely 5-year-old boy who started school last September, who is a barrel of laughs. I swim in the river in Winchester. We're very lucky we have clean rivers that are not full of waste. Um, so yeah, I did that this morning actually. Very nice. I've moved to a village, which is a big deal for me because I've always been a town or a city dweller since I was a kid. So yeah, that's actually been lovely. I'm a writer creatively and for my work, an ADHDer, and I love cheese and chocolate and coffee. Should have put all those three. Those are like the fuel of my life. So that's a little flavour of what I'm about. So why are we here? We're going to answer these questions today. So we are going to answer, how much money do you need? How much time do you really want? And then what's your real hourly rate? So I have a fun little way of calculating that that gives you not necessarily, or well, a completely different view on what you might charge out as an hourly rate versus what you actually need. And then we're going to talk about headspace energy. And then we're going to talk about action. Because much as I like to talk through these things and teach people calculations and fun ways to look at things, I like the people I talk to get some shit done as a result. So we're going to agree some action. And if you would like some accountability following this, tell me your action and I will check in with you afterwards to make sure that you've done it. Haha. Um, where's my little mouse gone? There he is. So I'd love to know in the chat, rate yourself. Are you your best, your own worst or best boss? So think about all the bosses you've ever had and try to imagine that's the part of your brain that is the boss that decides this is what we're going to do today. No, don't have a nap, push through, or yeah, you can take another call or another project. How does that bit of your brain compare to the external managers or bosses you've had in the past? So a 1 is I'm a beast to myself. 5 is I'm all right. I treat myself fairly. 10 is yes, I'm kind to myself, give myself permission to do the things I need. I rest. I encourage myself to take holidays. Yeah. Where would you put yourself? Oh, fairly high. 8, 8, 7. Okay, cool. We will come back to those later and see how you feel about them. So I always put this chat now. There you go. You can stay there. So the first question I'm going to answer is on money. So there's a lot of chat out there, isn't there, about how much you want to earn in business, and a lot of people just bang out numbers like 6-figure months, or I don't know, 20k months, or how to reach the next level. But for me, it doesn't mean anything because I don't know the ins and outs of your life. If you're mortgage free, for example, 5k a month might give you enough to be off, owning a BMW and going on holiday all the time, and I don't know, doing up your house or whatever it is you want to do. There's no context. So the idea with my little, what are they called? Conical flasks, is we figure out your context. So you don't have to do this now, but you might have a sort of fag packet thing you can do in your head. Get an idea of your total personal expenses. So roughly what is that a month? You can go and do this properly later. So what are the essentials? You've got to pay a mortgage or rent, you've got to pay utilities, you've got to pay, I don't know, I have to pay to see, which I think is really mean because I'm on a contact lens subscription. Like, why can't I just see? That drives me nuts. Mobile phone bills, all the rest of it, and food, things you need to survive. Things like, birthday gifts for people, sending cards, I don't know, socializing, all the stuff. And then that's kind of where you are now. And then the fun stuff is like, what stuff would I like to add in? I'd like to go on more holidays. I'd like to put an extension on my house. That might not sound fun, but I've just bought a house, so like that would be fun for me. I'd like to upgrade my car. I'd like to, I don't know, do a personal shopping day every 3 months, whatever the fun extra stuff is you'd like to be doing. And then business, we do the same for business. So business expenses is, keeping some back for tax, because that will hit you in the arse if you don't. Your Canva subscription, your networking subscriptions, your bank fees, all the general stuff. And then again, some fun money. So if I had money, or more money, surplus money, this is the stuff I would do in my business. I'd invest in a coach. I'd get a VA. I'd go on this course. I'd start another arm of the business, the fun pot. So then you've got pots with totals to give you a rough idea of where we are now versus where we'd like to be, but informed by actual numbers and figures that mean something and are real, not just plucking a 20k month out of your arsehole because it doesn't mean anything. So make it mean something. That's my rule with money. So what we're looking for then is your current magic number. So to keep to get everything coming in that I need to pay my business and personal expenses, if I added in those fun pots, my personal one and my business investment one, what would that look like? And then I just want you to think about one small thing you could do today that could start to move you from your current magic number to your ideal one. Maybe, you could promise yourself the next client that comes in, you're going to add 10%. Versus the last client that did that thing. Or you're going to go back to someone who you've worked with or who you work with and put your prices up. You could do an audit of your current business or personal subscriptions and free up some money that could go into the fun pot. It doesn't even have to be making more money. It could just be being more sensible or more mindful with the money that you've got. I did a clear out of business subscriptions a while ago and freed up like 300 quid a month. So, there's what money is there. It's just the choices that we make with it. I think I won't go into money mindset stuff because that's like a whole other bag. But if you haven't investigated that area, I thoroughly recommend it. It's very easy to get yourself into that lack mindset where you're constantly saying to yourself, there's not enough, there's not enough. It's always there. It's just And as business owners, we have the ability to make more of it. It's just what you do with it that counts. That said, I do know that sometimes the shit hits the fan and the whole thing is just looks like it's absolutely fucked and you don't know what you're going to do. Not this January, the January before, I billed £1,000 a night. My business expenses were 800. So that's without paying my rent or any of the other things I needed to do. So I do know it can get really dire, but there is always a way out. It's just about working on your mindset. But I won't sidetrack into all of that because A, that's not my area of expertise, and B, that's like a whole other thing. But I do recommend looking at it if you haven't already. So yeah, promise yourself one small thing you can do, hopefully today, to move you from one to the other. So now I'm going to talk about time. And this is it's worth sort of thinking about this like a money budget. Think of the time you've got as a budget and what things do you spend it on? Like the language is already there. We spend time like we spend money. Or you can switch it around and say, like, I invest money in ensuring I have electricity supplied to my house. You can invest time, right? So it's not always about that negative connotation of spending, it disappearing. It can be investing. So across your week, it's really annoying. The graphic I found with the days of the week started on a Saturday. Don't know why I couldn't change it. Across your days of the week, what's going into those pots? So how much time do you actually want? Like, it's again exactly the same with money. It's so easy to sit there and go, I wish I had more time, I wish I had time to do this, but again, it's like money. It's there, the time is there. Usually what's lacking is the inclination, or we haven't got our priorities straight. So I, a while back, trained myself to start saying I didn't make time for that, to remind me that I am in control of what I do with my time. I don't have a boss, right? There isn't someone standing over me going, you need to be at your desk from 9 to 5. So it is up to me what I do with my time. Obviously, I have commitments, like I have to go and get a small person from a school at a given time on a weekday, and that there's nothing I can do about that. But that's a small amount of commitment if you've got 8 hours sleep, a 16-hour period. So do an audit on what you spend your time on currently, and then think about what you would like that to look like. So you want to spend time with your family, you want to take holidays. They don't even need to be abroad, but just taking the odd day off. Or one of my favorite things to do is take a week off when my kid is still at school. So I actually get some time to myself. That's quite a nice week off. Like life admin, socializing, self-care, hobbies. What things do you want to spend your time on and make time for versus where is your time going now? And if you don't know, you can use a cool little tool like Toggle and just track your time for a week or a month to get that honest view and then look at it, because time is one of those things that a lot of it is about perspective and perception, and a lot of the things we tell ourselves are not necessarily real. So getting a real view can be helpful. And again, with business, what are you spending your time on? Like delivery of client work or interactions with clients, networking, socializing with business buddies, sales and marketing. Like, do an audit of where all that time is going and where, it might be that, like a classic one is social media, isn't it? People are like, oh, I spend so much time doing social media. But you don't have to, that's a choice. So get an idea of what that picture looks like. And then we're going to take some action to take that hectic, where is my time going? There's never enough time. I'm like, want to go to bed, but I've still got to do that thing and stay up late to do it. What's one small thing you could do to move towards having a more structured week? And that doesn't necessarily need to be routine. I'm an ADHD, routine does not work for me, but some sort of flexible structure, a framework that goes across everything does help me stay on track and get things done and not feel super overwhelmed. So that's what we were trying to avoid here. So one thing, an exercise that can be fun to do, if you really feel like you don't know what it looks like and you just feel like it's shit, but you need some numbers, do track your time for a week or a month. That is helpful. The other thing that can be fun to do is an ideal week. So I picked up this idea ages ago of like this idea of the ideal day. And at the time, my little one was in preschool 3 days a week, but not the other days. And then so there were 2 days he wasn't, and I had him 3 days he was, and then 2 with a weekend. And I was like, how do I do an ideal day? All my days are different, but doing it across a week can feel a bit more realistic. And you don't have to be specific about, I have to go to Pilates on a Tuesday. You can just be like, I'd like at least 10% of my week to be time blocked to just do whatever I want to do when I get there. So I like to do like chunks of time. So I'll do calls and client work in the morning, and then I'll do my working like on the business stuff in the afternoon. Some days my little one has clubs, some days he doesn't. So like on a Monday, I don't accept calls. I don't do any client work unless I choose to. And it is just a day where I could do absolutely nothing, or it's a day where I could do some creative or some strategy stuff, or I could go and see someone, but it's a flexible day. So like have a think about what it is you need, go back to that time audit list and go, how would I like this to look? And a really important thing to do here is like go blue sky on it. Don't apply restrictions to it when you do it. Like let your brain go off and go, I would love to do a course in gardening, and that's what I'd be doing on a Thursday. Just think of all the possible things, all the ingredients that would go into that ideal week. Because as soon as you start putting restrictions on it, you're taking yourself back to that place of, I don't have enough time, I'll never be able to do this. But just paint that picture, and you know what it's like. I'm not a manifestation expert, but I do know as soon as you start making plans, writing things down, saying things out loud, you start to move towards them. So just writing it down, you'll be able to see, and this is the one small thing. What's one small thing I could that I could do today to move from where I am right now to that? And it might be, right, I'm just going to block out my diary on a Wednesday and I'm not going to accept any calls. And then at least when I get there, I've got a little breather in my week. And if I don't have urgent work, I could take some time out for myself. Really think really tiny. Could you move a regular call from one day to the other? Could you, I don't know, swap a family commitment with someone else? Could you outsource something like cleaning? I was talking to another business owner this morning when I went swimming, and she was like, cleaning my house is sending me over the edge. And I was like, outsource it, like if you could earn more in that time, then you could pay that person to do that thing, then that's what you need to do, even if it feels scary. So yeah, one small thing. That blue sky, big picture, ideal week of your dreams is not going to happen overnight. But if you can take a tiny little step every week or every month, you will get there. So that's money and time. And then this might look a bit scary. I probably should have done this as a build. Never mind. We'll talk through it. I like to do this exercise with my clients. So you can do back of a fag packet now, or you can go and do it properly later. I've got an example. Is so often we do this thing where someone goes, I don't know, can you run a training workshop or host an event? And we go, yeah, fine. That's a day. Yeah, I charge 300 quid a day. Fine. And then we get there and we're like, hold the phone. I've got 2 days to prep for this. I've got a day to deliver it. And I've got half a day to follow up from it. Shit. Probably should have quoted a week. And very quickly, those things that we optimistically quote for, which I know as an ADHDer, I really struggle with. So I have to be very mindful about this sort of raging optimism that can happen and go, hang on a sec, I've actually got to do all this stuff behind the scenes to deliver your day's workshop. That's a week's work. So I'm charging for a week. And the danger when you quote an hourly rate is you do yourself down big time. So what I like to do is take your personal expenses and your business expenses, so that magic number that we had in our conical flask earlier, divide them by the ideal number of hours you want to work. So say I want to do a 30-hour week, that's all the hours that I've got. But you do need to take off your non-sellable hours. So I don't know, things like navel gazing, marketing, random calls, doing your, oh my God, my zero reconciliation that I never get around to, uni invoicing and all of that stuff. If you want to work few hours to do more of your fun stuff, you can't sell all of those hours to another person. I learned that lesson hard in my first 6 months of business. I was like, right, I want to work a 3-day week. So I went and sold whatever 3 times 8 is, 24 hours to my first client, and I worked in her office 9 till 5, and then of course I had no time for employing an accountant and going networking and setting up my own website and running my social media. And I was like, shit. So I worked with a business coach whose program was called Success Without Sacrifice, and that has become integral in what I teach. Because I realized, yeah, if I want to work a 24-hour week, I can probably only sell about 10 of those hours. So those hours need to net me what I need. So this is what this calculation is. That magic number that you need. So say you needed 5K a month to cover everything that you want personally and everything that you need in business. And you want to work 30 hours a week, which comes out 130 a month. Take off your non-sellable hours, so the hours that on the business hours. This is getting you to an hourly rate of nearly £60 an hour. So it might not be something you can do right now, but it just gives you an idea that if you're constantly quoting 25 quid an hour out there and you're only charging for the delivery hours that the client thinks that's what they need to pay you, how quickly you're just not netting yourself enough. And again, this is something that you can add in. So like if you add in your fun money and you reduce your hours, it really is an eye opener as to what you actually need to be charging. And a great way to look at this, if like me, you need a bit of a portfolio business model, well, it does make good financial sense, but also like for me, it stops me getting bored. Some services are charged out maybe at a lower hourly rate, but some of them at a much higher one. And so long as the average is reaching what I need it to be, then I know I'm on the right track. So say you doubled this and you said, I want 10K a month and I'm still going to work 30 hours. It just goes to show if you're putting a package together and you're really thinking about how many hours it's going to take you to deliver, what that package needs to cost. So everyone does pricing differently, but and again, there's a whole bunch of money mindset stuff. But for me, I find if I regularly revisit this calculation and I see where I am and I see how I'm pricing my packages, I have a lot more confidence in how my packages are priced, and then I don't get so much of the ick around pricing, which can crop up. So yeah, I really recommend this as a calculation. It's what's the word? Really illuminating. That's the word. So again, what is one small thing you could do to move from where you are now, if you did an audit of what you're charging, to where you would like to be? And it might be that you restructure a package that you offer and you go, yeah, actually last time it took me 20 hours to deliver and I've been basing it on 15 hours. Right, I'm going to put the price of that up next time. Or it might be that you go, you know, this one thing I'm offering, I love it and I don't want to change it. I don't want to put the price up, but I could run it alongside something that's at a much higher price point. Like a classic is the power hour, right? So many people do power hours and they charge like 60 quid. But it's not just an hour, is it? You've got to prep for it, you've got to run it, and you've got to follow it up. So you're easily into 2 hours. So make it worth your while. Another way to look at it can be that your lower price point services or offers, if they are likely to be a kind of gateway into higher value ones, if they're netting you a lower hourly rate, that might be okay. You can start to make trade-offs. Headspace. I really wanted that. I wanted to find that meme of that actress with all the like calculations going around her head. That's the vibe I was trying to go for here. So I wanted to talk a bit about cognitive load. This has been a big realization for me over the last year or so, especially since my kid went to school. That extra cognitive load slapped me in the face like a wet fish. And I had a moment before Christmas where I was like, I cannot carry all of this and a business. I think I forgot something for his Christmas play and I made a mistake with a client and I was like, this is not who I want to be. This is not how I want to live. Something's got to change. But it was a wake-up call for me that I needed to open another tab on my brain spreadsheet that was called school admin, and I just needed to accept that that's part of my life and I need to make space for it. Ignoring things, important things, like they don't go away. You just somehow need to make space for them. So this is another little opportunity for an audit. What is your day-to-day cognitive load? Like, what do you regularly need to plan for, shop for, remember, consider, allow for? You know, some things happen automatically. They're a habit. Like, I don't even really think about doing the washing. I just do it. But a part of my brain somewhere is still allowing for that. There's still a cognitive load. I've still got to make sure I've got, gosh, this is the most boring example, isn't it? But but I'm quite proud of myself that I managed to stay on top of the washing. Luckily, there's only 3 of us. But you know, like we're about to get kittens in the summer. And I'm aware that that's then making sure that they've got food and keeping on top of their vet appointments. And, you know, we've all got stuff in our life that we need to, some of it happens automatically and some of it is a high cognitive load. As an ADHDer, I struggle to remember shit. So birthdays and important dates, which club is on which day and when I need to put a snack in my kid's bag and just, yeah. I don't, a lot of it is not automatic for me. So there's a high cognitive load on a daily basis. There's a lot of things to try and remember. And the audit I would like to invite you to do is to rate it from, yes, love doing this, or I get satisfaction from doing it, or it's not a problem for me, to total snooze fest, like hate doing this, drives me nuts, constantly forget, don't enjoy it. You could do it like a 1 to 5 scale and just find those things that are a source of irritation. I saw a great thing on Instagram the other day with this productivity guy that I follow, and he was like, I think it was something, a sort of similar audit to this, but he called it the frustration list. So like keep a list of things that annoy the crap out of you, and then visit it once a month. And it might be like that dodgy door handle or that flickering light, or I don't know, whatever it is. And then once a month, go and look at that list and do one of those things. So yeah, this is kind of like throwing out everything that exists in your brain, doing a big brain dump. And one of the things that it does do is make you realize often how much you're carrying and holding in your brain. I did one the other night and I was like, well, no wonder you feel a bit overwhelmed. When you lay it all out, there's a lot there. But then once you lay it out, you can make choices about it. And that's the important thing. So do the audit, find those things that are, I don't know, like for me, I realized a while back, making time to go to Tesco's. I'm weird. I really enjoy going to Tesco's. I don't know why. I think it's because it's an end-to-end thing and I get to tick things off and it's like done at the end of it. And I don't know. But I realized I was struggling to make time for it. It was just an inconvenient thing to do in my week. So I removed some of the cognitive load and now one day a week I go on the app and it gets delivered instead. And yes, it's another fiver, but it's taken away that whole, I need to find time in my week to do this thing. So that's headspace. Keep clicking the wrong button. And then again, what's one small thing we can do, right? So the Tesco's, there you go. There's an example. Get a cleaner to come around 2 hours every 2 weeks to do the big clean. Delegate tasks differently in your household. There's always one tiny thing that you can do, and it's cumulative. So if you do a tiny thing every day or every week, the whole gig starts to feel easier, and then it's more motivating to keep making those changes. So just have a think about cognitive load, things that are hanging around in your brain. Could you, I don't know, I keep meaning to do this actually, get an undated diary and write everyone's birthdays in it, or set out reminders for everyone's birthdays in your phone. Birthdays are a big one for me. I remember like 3 days before and then 2 days after, but I struggle to remember on the day. Thank God for Facebook. So yeah, there's always a little thing that you can do. And then energy. So what would you like to have energy for? This lady's looking at her long list of things that are draining her energy. So it might be like a big one for me is if I notice myself getting really tired in the evenings or getting a bit lazy and just letting my little one watch TV after school, I'm like, no, because my why is him. I want to have energy for him. So when he comes home from school, we can do fun things together or we can hang out. So what do I need to change in my day to make sure that I've got that? Transition times is a big one. I worked with a coach a while ago that helped me realize that I was like work up until school pick up, and then straight into picking him up with no time to sort of power down in between. So if you have transitions in your day, that can be helpful, even if it's just 5 minutes. Maybe you'd like to have more energy for going out in the evening and you're crashing at 5 o'clock every day. Maybe you want more energy to do things around the house, or I don't know, to take up skydiving, whatever it is. There'll be something that you're finding that you're quite often saying to yourself, oh, I wish I had more energy for this. What are those things? And then you can take your audit list of all of that stuff that you're spending time on and the real snooze fest stuff or the frustration list. And then you can apply some TOAST, which is my lovely little acronym for getting rid of shit, decluttering, getting it out of your life. So in business and in life, actually, what can you template? So in your business, there might be an email that you send really often to people that's of a similar vein, even if it's got placeholders in, template it. Just start a library of templates of things that you regularly send to people. I worked with a client once who didn't have a standard template for quoting. She made it up on the fly every time. Like, we can so often get into habits of doing things that we don't realize that there could be a more efficient way of doing it. So what can you template? If I was really clever, okay, I do keep meaning to do it. There's this app called Bring where you can put your shopping list and you can actually add meals in there, your favorite recipes, and you can just pick your recipes and it will add everything you need to a shopping list. Like you can template stuff in your personal life. Um, Outsource. So again, get a cleaner, take your ironing to a dry cleaners. I mean, I haven't ironed anything in about 15 years, but apparently some people still do iron. Could you get a VA in your business or outsource a piece of research? Outsource your marketing, haha. But there's loads of areas. If something is a constant time suck and you don't enjoy it, and you could probably be earning more money by charging that hour to someone else, what could you get rid of? And sometimes you have to make that leap before you feel ready to, or before you feel like you can afford it, but it's the best time to do it. It actually has the opposite effect. And once you free up the time and the headspace from not doing the shitty small things that you don't want to do or the frustrating things, you're then able to have more energy to go out there and win clients and earn more money. It does have what's the word? Like a positive effect. What can you automate? I freaking love automating things, but there are cool things like most people have Calendly now, but someone can just book straight into your diary and then you can have a series of emails that tell them what they need to know before they talk to you and follow it up afterwards. You can use amazing tools like Zapier that make any system talk to any other system. So if you book a call with me in Calendly, you get added to my mailing list in MailerLite automatically, don't have to touch it. There are just, if you Google, can I automate XYZ, you'll find an answer. There are so many cool time-saving things you can do. Standardize. So if you're doing something differently every time you approach it, is there a way to standardize it? Is there a way to streamline some of the things you do? Sometimes we add unnecessary steps into things, or we think people need things and we do all this work doing a thing for someone and we discover they've not been opening it or reading it or they don't need it. So, if in doubt, ask. If you do things for your clients and you're not sure if they're getting benefit, ask them and then redirect that energy to something else. And my favorite of all the toast options is just throw it in the bin. We do so much unnecessary shit sometimes, especially in business. We should all over ourselves. Oh, I should be posting on LinkedIn. I should be on all social media platforms, and I should. If you look at that list and you spot some stuff, and a little voice in your head goes, "Yeah, but you should be doing that," chuck it in the bin. Forget it. If it's really important, after a month, you'll start to feel an effect, but I guarantee you won't. There's always some shit that needs to go in the bin. So again, what is one small thing from looking at that list of all these energy draining, time sucking, brain draining things to actually, yeah, I could, instead of, I don't know, reconciling things in Xero, which bores me to tears, I could give that to someone else and then I could be out watering my plants in the garden. This is definitely about me, by the way. But yeah, what is one small thing we could do to move from one state to the other? Oh, I think I pressed back. So a bonus question, carrying on with the METH theme, is what PPE might you need? So in this world where you are finding ways to make more money, you're freeing up your energy and your time and your headspace. Is there some stuff that you need to put in place to ensure that you protect this process that you're going through? Do you need an accountability buddy? do you need to communicate your needs? And that could be business and personal. You might need to renegotiate a relationship with a client. You might be like, look, I love you, I love working with you, but you call me 15 times a day and that's not okay. You know, there, I do think it's a bit of a female thing, societal conditioning, and maybe wired into us, that we take things on and we don't tell people. Do you need to voice it to someone? By the way, I am doing all of this unseen stuff. Can you help me? Yeah, reviewing your client roster, and even if it's painful, if there are people on there that are not paying you enough, or who aren't really seeing the value in what you are doing, I don't know, or that you just don't enjoy working with, you don't enjoy it anymore, just have the confidence to say yes to yourself and say no to them and ditch them. Yeah, if you want to protect your energy and your headspace, you need to put yourself first. Again, whole bunch of other mindset stuff around that. But yeah, this really is about putting yourself first. Setting and holding boundaries, reviewing pricing, platforms, systems, processes, templates. You don't have to do all of this right now, but maybe one thing might jump out at you and you go, yeah, actually that, I could do something on that. So just think about what you need to protect this new you that we're going to walk into. So those are the questions that we've walked through today. How much money do you need? How much time do you want? What does that translate to in terms of your real hourly rate? That you don't need to tell anyone, by the way, that's just for your information. How much headspace you need and how much energy you want, and then what action are you going to take? So if you want me to follow up with you, you can pop it in the chat, or you can email me afterwards and go, I am going to take action on this, or this, and this, or I'm going to work on this, and then I will check in with you to see how you're going on it. So I think it's really important. I've been to a million masterclasses and workshops in my life, and I've taken some notes and I've gone, yeah, that was really cool. And then I've walked away and done naff all about it. But I really, I really want everyone watching this to go, I'm going to take this piece here and I'm going to do something about it. So do you feel differently having thought about some of those things, about how you are your best or worst or needs improvement boss to yourself? Or do you feel the same? I'd love to know. You can re-rate yourself. How am I doing for time? Oh, it's not bad. Say that, I can't actually see the chat. Oh, there it is. I need to do my fag packet maths. Sorry, I've missed the chat. The name of the app for the shopping list was Bring. Thanks for the meme, Chris. Not just females. I always end up leading on everything and never say no when asked. Yeah, like, it isn't just women. I think us women can be particularly. Sorry, the bread maker is going off. Yeah, it is so easy. That's why that cognitive load audit is so important, because it's so easy for us to get in that mode of do the thing. Yeah, right, I'll get on with that, and forget to communicate that to anyone else or to ask for help. We can be our own worst enemies sometimes. So everyone here, you've got a little bonus to say thanks for turning up, so that I wasn't talking to no one. You get a free session with me. So yeah, I'd love, actually, something that's come out of today particularly, to work through that with you. So a particular challenge this might have shed light on, in an area where you're like, I'd really like to tackle that. Can we work through some ideas on it together? So yeah, I will drop you all a link. No, there's not loads of you, but I don't trust my memory, so I'm just going to write you all down. I have this thing where I assume I will remember things, and people go, "Do you want to write that down?" And I go, "No, I'll be fine," and then I don't. So yeah, that's why I write everything down. Yeah, so I will send you a link, and yeah, it'd be great to work through something chunky from this together, just give you some ideas or some support or whatever it is you need to start making those changes. So thank you for being here. And yeah, I do also mentor people. So as I said at the beginning, this is a little flavour of some of the things that I work through with people, obviously in a lot more detail. I know I like threw lots of things at you that you might want to work on after this, but yeah, this is what I work through people with on my 3-month mentoring program, or I do also do ad hoc. But yeah, the kind of soup to nuts of how are you organizing yourself? How are you, you know, what are you in this for? What are you aiming for? What are your priorities? Obviously, we talk about sales and marketing, but also geeky things like systems and automation, and yeah, just everything I've learned about running a business in 24 hours a week, because it gets to be the two things I ask myself a lot are, how's this get to be easy and how does this get to be fun? Because it's so easy to forget and to be a crappy boss to yourself and be like, just work harder. But actually, we didn't go into this life to be our own worst boss. So any questions? I'll open it up to you guys. Anything burning, or we can talk about it when we meet.
From me, like I say, I've got to do my maths homework yet. So
Maths homework. Oh my god.
I knew you'd hate that.
I've started working with an ADHD coach recently, and he said to me, I'm not going to call it homework, I'm going to call it a fun activity that you're going to do before we meet. And I was like, I like that. Yeah, don't call it homework, call it a fun activity. Anything else from anyone else? All good. All right.
Chris has asked a question in chat, I think.
Oh,
I did, yes.
what is my biggest wish for the rest of this year? Oh, that's a good question. I think for me, it's about enjoying the summer holidays with my little one, because it's his first school summer holidays. And I read somewhere a while ago, you only get 13 summer holidays with your kids, enjoy them. And I was like, well, I've only got one kid, so I'm going to make the most of that. So yeah, I've got some reasonable sized projects coming up with new clients and a bit of a shift in my client roster. But yeah, it's about maintaining that time commitment and then enjoying some time with him. And doing things to the house that I now own, because I own a house. The grand old age of 41, I finally have my name on the deeds of a house. So yeah, bit of that. What about you, Chris? What's your biggest wish for the rest of the year?
Very similar to yours, I guess, is continue to manage my time to spend the time with my family and my children that I want to.
Nice.
You know that. You've heard me say that before anyway.
Yeah. Well, YOLO, like you really do only get one shot at this. And that I keep seeing that book going around, the 7 regrets of the dying or something. And it's like, I wish I hadn't worked so hard was one of them. And that really struck me. And I thought, yeah, we are, depending on when you were born and what your life experience or your culture is, there's just that expectation that we work our bollocks off and then we only get to retire when we're 65, and then you get to enjoy life. And I think there's a bit of a movement where there's a lot of people waking up to the idea that you can work for fulfillment and wealth, but you can also enjoy your life alongside, and one doesn't have to come at the expense of the other, and we can do both, like I'd never use the words part-time about my business. Other people might call me there's nothing part-time about running a business. The hours I spend at my desk are not the only hours that I am a business owner. Like I run a business every minute that I'm awake, much as I'm not a parent when my kid is at school. I'm still a parent. So although weirdly,
I've got another wish for you, Siobhan.
yeah.
This is a more fun one then.
Yeah.
Which is, I wish to see series 2 of Nicolas Cage swearing.
Oh, what an excellent show. Have you guys watched it, Carol and Jenny? The History of Swearing on Netflix.
Oh, it's on Netflix. Oh, okay, I'll catch that then.
Yes, I'm with you, Chris. Like, I need to go back and watch that again. That is some spectacular television. Yeah, I could watch Nicolas Cage say the word dick just all day long. Yeah, it's a wonderful thing.
Love it.
Yeah, recommend it, Aaron. Definitely watch it. Also, there's series 3 of Couples Therapy on BBC iPlayer at the moment. If you haven't watched Couples Therapy, that's also fantastic. Right. You can all have 5 minutes back. There you go. Give you some time.
Love it.
And thank you so much for being here. And yeah, I can't wait to hear about the fag packet calculations afterwards, / homework. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday.
And you too. Speak soon.
Thanks, Siobhan.
Bye, guys.
Thank you,
Thank you.